call to order the June 2023 meeting for the Polk City Parks Commission. Roll call. Ashley, present. Jeff Savage.
Here.
Monica Converse. Darren Tenapple.
Here.
Kelly Holland. Nick Otis.
Here.
Larry Jablonski.
Here.
All right. The meeting minutes from April 3rd, as our May meeting was canceled, are in front of you. They were also emailed to everyone. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes?
All motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right. Approval of the minutes passes. Audience items. I see we have a letter up here. Are there any other audience items?
No, ma'am. Just before you is a letter to the commission from some high school students.
I can give just a little bit of background on this. These were two students that were taking a course at North Polk High School. Both are athletes. They were very familiar with the sports complex, but the whole idea behind their project was to take something that they use regularly and come up with a plan for improvement. And so they did talk to me about what was planned and what are some other ideas that they thought that they could provide as ideas for how to improve the sports complex, since they both spend so much time there. So they were very excited to chat and super eager to complete the project on something that they had a lot of interest in. So I told them that there's always room for them to volunteer in the future once they turn 18. But it's they were very vested in their project, so it was really fun to see. All right, agenda item number 5. Update on the Neil Smith High Trestle Trail Connector.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to get zoomed in enough that this makes some sense. But yeah, something that was mentioned at the May work session with council was an update on this project. So this has been really gaining steam recently. And this is Polk City's attempt at connecting the Neil Smith to the High Trestle by way of Polk City, mainly the square in the downtown district. So you really can't see that at all. I apologize here. So I'm just going to kind of highlight very 30,000 foot view here, so you guys kind of have talking points going forward. As this is going to be phased and kind of over a number of years, we're looking at this project. So how it would come in, I'm just going to kind of give you a progression from the Neil Smith to the High Trestle. So at the existing sports complex, Polk City is currently working with the Army Corps of Engineers to acquire more of their land that is between the current sports complex easement and the Quick Start property. The thought is that we would be able to utilize that area for trail connections. Another idea that's been thrown out is additional parking. So we're going through the process of right now of adding that onto our existing easement with the Army Corps of Engineers. From there, we would connect with what is known as the West Bridge Trail that's already in existence by scooters, subway. We would come to the intersection of Bridge and 3rd, where the trail would turn north. It would run parallel of 3rd Street until we get down here into the downtown district. Which case then it would continue on North 3rd, where we would connect with the existing Kiwanis Park Trail. And then it would, at North Side Drive, so just on the north side of Kiwanis Park, a new trail would pick back up and go north, actually all the way to East Vista for a safe way to school for children to access Big Creek Elementary. But the trail would dip east between Madison and East Vista. We currently have an easement on the south side of the Big Creek Elementary property. That would take us to the regional park, where we would go through and we would get it to city limits, where Polk County Conservation takes over. of the construction to hopefully the Oasis is Plan A. This is broken into 7 phases. Mostly it is done small bits that we can chew off, and some of that is very much earmarked because of federal funding that we've gotten. And so we didn't want to wait that long for all of the trail to be completed. So some are a few years out, but again, it's when we get the money. So that's when we can spend it. I can kind of go through here, and this is not chronological, but in case anyone ever asks, phase 1 is from North Side to East Vista. That would also include some realignment of North 3rd. Phase 2 is across the school property. Phase 3, Regional Park. Phase 4 is current City Hall to Kiwanis Park. Phase 5 is City Hall to West Bridge. 6 is the small little Van Dorn property. That's the homeowner, but that's that little space where the trail comes to an abrupt halt at Lakeside Fellowship's property. So we would get it from there to the intersection, and then phase 7 would be the addition from the Quick Start Trail to the Neil Smith by way of a new easement. Any questions on the phasing or anything like that?
Why is the Van Dorn section, that smallest little section, last one?
Again, so
that would close the loop that we got around Polk of town.
sure. So again, those are not chronological.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and I will show you this next slide here. This is what the timeline kind of looks like. So you can see right there, phase 4, 6, and 7 could start the soonest. Absolutely.
All the underground work on the Van property already.
Yes. So we did just loop a water main right there. And so now that that's been done, yep, absolutely, we can attack that from the top. So yeah, 4, 6, and 7 will likely come first. 1, 2, and 3 would be next, and then 5 and the Polk County conservation portion would finish things up. Obviously, everything can change, but as of right now, we'd like to see June 30, 26 as all trail segments complete. And I wanted to give you guys also an update on the funding. Let me get this zoomed in a little bit better. I think that might be the best I can do to show you everything as a whole. But yeah, so overall, the kind of the highlights I wanted to show here are the total project is $5.1 million. That does include Polk County's phase, which is nearly 1.4. But yeah, to date, we've received almost $1.5 million in grant funding. And between Polk County's portion, grants, bonds that have been issued in 22 and 23, we are only $690,000 away from fully funding the project. And I can say the 2 outstandings, about a month ago, myself, City Engineer Travis Thornburg, and City Manager Chelsea Huseman presented at Prairie Meadows for a legacy grant for the $250,000 to hopefully finish phase 3. We are still awaiting to see if we were awarded that. And then we will be submitting for $440,000 with the state rec trails program with a due date of July 1. So we're currently working on that right now. So any questions about funding?
Other than if you wouldn't mind emailing that out to us, Liberian.
Yeah, I can make that to you guys. Okay, so no, that is kind of it, just in a nutshell, that we're as close as ever. Obviously, we can only do the part here in town. I know Polk County is still actively working on their part. Nothing to report, but positive vibes have come out of those meetings and everything. So we're very hopeful. where I think we feel like we're very close. So, and we feel like this would obviously be an enormous asset to Polk City. The amount of traffic and the amount of economic, just revenue that would come in off that trail. People coming right by our square, our downtown district. So, very exciting.
A question, not about this, but you mentioned the Neil Smith Trail that goes up to Big Creek, the section that runs through Polk City. Is Polk City responsible for the maintenance of that, or is that the Corps of Engineers, or
Yeah, the core.
has anybody ever said anything to you about timeline for resurfacing or repair of that? Because it's starting to become pretty bumpy.
Right.
A lot of cracks.
No, I field a lot of calls about people that think that is a Polk City jurisdictional trail, but no, I do not have any information from the Corps as to when they may replace sections of trail. But no, I agree. There are some that are getting fairly worn.
Would be a nice tag on to Ragbri to have some posters up of our planned phasing of this, if that's not already on your radar.
No, it certainly is because, those are the folks that would likely perhaps return if they have a good experience in Polk City and see that we're very bike friendly. In a perfect world, we would know something about Polk County's piece of this before Ragbri, and hopefully there would be something really exciting to announce, but, fingers crossed that happens.
If we have the option to do something like that, is there going to be, I know you're giving a right update later, just maybe as we get to that, one thing to think about is there any Parks Commission members that might want to man a station that boasts our parks or what City has to offer, including potentially the trail connector? So anyway, thank you. Any other questions for Jason about the Neil Smith High Trestle Trail Connector project?
Something else that I don't know officially how this is going to go, but at some point we want this trail to have a name, not a connector. We want this to be a trail of its own. Some people might just stay on this trail. So, trying to think of what this could be, and I have some ideas, but until we get there, that might be a time and a place for a think session with the commission, as to what this trail could be called on its own.
One last thing that is Neil Smith adjacent. Friends of the Parks advertised recently a fundraising effort for the connector from Woodhaven to the Neil Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I was under the impression that was planning on being funded through the current capital improvement plan.
I think they are trying to help so that just some of that, push it forward, and some of that money that otherwise can be spent on something else. And, that's something that they hear a lot of when they're out. So I think they wanted to help. And, sometimes being an advocate for a project certainly speeds it up too. So, yep.
All right, summary of the Q1 of 23 cost expense output report.
Yep. So Q1 is always the smallest, just based on the months of the year and not having our own indoor space. So overall, very happy. Youth programming comes in at 142%. That is a little inflated based on dodgeball, but dodgeball is priced with a facility rental in there. Just right now, I'm lucky enough that that's being waived, but I can't always depend on that being waived. So, but no, still dodgeball. That is from a contact hour breakdown. It's a very reasonably priced program. But no, overall, very happy with the youth. Adults, that's exactly how I like to see adult programming. Get close to 125%. So very happy with yoga. And then on the back, senior trip to Ames for lunch and a little bit of walking around the Main Street district there. 45% that falls within our cost recovery model. So yeah, again, for anybody that has never went through one of these before, for the senior population, this approach looks at them that they may be on a fixed income. So this fits more of a community benefit. So we're okay doing some subsidizing of those programs there. Yeah, no, overall, it was my next one will be a lot bigger with summer programming on it, but no, really happy with quarter one.
I'm excited that there was a senior program that went.
Yeah.
That's super exciting.
Yeah, we've certainly got a core group that goes to all of them, and they're talking with their friends, so
Oh, good.
they're slowly building. So I love to see that, and they're giving me ideas for future ones. So it's been really good.
Good. I know we had some conversations about how to recruit those folks, and heard over and over again, word of mouth was the only way to do it. So that's very exciting.
It is partially true.
All right, update on RAGBRAI.
Yeah, so again here, I was just going to give you guys a little bit of an update as to how RAGBRAI is going to affect the park, mainly the square, here in town. So for any of you that may have been living under a rock, RAGBRAI is coming. It's on July 26th. That's a Wednesday. We are the third town of 5 on that day. That is the Ames to Des Moines Day, where they're trying to break a world record. So they will be coming in from Madrid, down Northwest Madrid Drive, where it turns into West Broadway. They'll come down to the square, where we will have our RAGBRAI zone. They will turn northeast on 3rd, and then get on their way to Ankeny by way of 118th East Northside Drive. I'm not sure where they drop into Ankeny yet. I know that might have been out here, but that's Ankeny's issue. But no, all of us on that route are playing very nice together. We know this is a huge undertaking for every town, even Des Moines. So we're in constant contact with one another to make sure this day runs as seamless as possible. So a little bit further in depth, this is going to be kind of our RAGBRAI zone. So again, you can see here where they'll be coming down the hill. We will probably have some sort of signage. Bikes are going to start backing up. So we're probably going to have some way of encouraging bike riders to dismount 4 to 6 blocks away from the square and walk it in for safety. And then again, when they leave, we'll probably have them walk a little bit before they mount back up and they take off. Really the 2 zones on here that I wanted to point out, the red is bike parking, bike hospitality. It probably won't be enough, but we're going to have bikes everywhere. So we're going to do our best to have as much accommodation as we can. And then in the green zone, consider this the alcohol zone, for lack of better terms. We will have physical barricades that are keeping this, but with so many different areas, establishments that will be having their serving area bumped out into the street this time. This was the approach that Polk City and RAGBRAI kind of came to. So this whole zone, drink sales, food sales, entertainment. So it'll be crazy. RAGBRAI's really told us 9 to 1 is when we should expect really heavy traffic. The pre-ride is this week, so the RAGBRAI folks will be in town this Wednesday. This is when they get to actually ride RAGBRAI, so they get to do it, and they get to, ride the exact route that the riders will do in a month and a half. And last chance to tell Polk County, hey, there's a really rough part of road, just to make sure the experience is great come actual RAGBRAI. In terms of involvement, it's often, it's pretty regular that a town will adopt a RAGBRAI ordinance, just because this is such a large circus, for lack of better terms. So Polk City has set that up. We have different vendor fees for nonprofit, for-profit, existing business, brick and mortar, so they can expand. But if anybody's interested, contact City Hall if you'd like to have any sort of sales or recognition that day. Volunteers are also needed. We've had a great response for volunteers thus far, but we probably won't turn anybody away. Again, contact City Hall if you'd like to volunteer. You'll get a sweet shirt.
What needs specifically are you looking for volunteers?
Yeah, we'll do some some sort of security, just making sure, that the area is, drinks are staying in, not coming out. Beer garden help, ticket sales, wristbanding, trash. Honestly, some people will just be pointing to bikers, like parking, bathrooms, just making sure that people are aware of what's here and the quickest way to get there. So, but yeah, no, any questions about RAGBRAI? It's exciting. Hopefully, all of the businesses and all of our civic and nonprofits that want to be involved, hopefully they all have amazing days and they can, share their information, spread their mission, hopefully have a good day of revenue and, so fingers crossed.
I will tell you, the number one thing that I have found helpful writing on RAGBRAI is something that very few towns do. And that is where the bottleneck is, having a large, 4 by 5 foot map that shows where things are.
Okay.
Because if you've never been to these small towns, someone from the information group will be like, oh yeah, they're down at Kiwanis Park, and you're like,
Yeah, where's
and
that?
that is, and they're like, oh, just up 3rd Street, and you're like, and 3rd Street is which of your road? You just don't know that information. And we were in Nevada a couple years ago, and they had their main street closed. But what we didn't realize is that if we would have continued, they had blocked off their entire high school athletic space, and that's where all their nonprofit vendors were. They were selling all sorts of cool things, but we didn't even know they existed because we thought it was just this one path that was a ride-through place. I think if we had some sort of map right there that, for a lack of a better description, had a preschool style, go
sure.
this way 2 blocks, go this way 1 block, where people can quick look and see. In my brain, it looks like the highway signs, when you get off and it's like,
Oh yeah.
food
Casey's,
this way,
McDonald's.
lodging that way. I think that would be the most beneficial thing that we could do that would help riders decide where to go and help with traffic flow.
Definitely.
And the other thing that I don't see on here that I think would be hugely beneficial is to create meetup zones. I've only seen this done in 3 towns, but they'll have meetup zone 1, 2, 3 through 10 or whatever.
Okay.
And then you can text your party and say, hey, I'm at meetup zone 5.
Okay.
And then it's easy for people to find each other. Again, because when you're in a strange town and someone says, I'm at the bandstand, someone might be looking for, a bandstand that's a half moon. They're like, I don't see a bandstand. I see a gazebo.
Sure.
Yeah. So that was really beneficial when we were in Newton a couple of years ago. They had a map of where there was different meetup zones all over the town where you could meet up with your party.
That could be as simple as different corners of the square is certain numbers, and Kiwanis Park is a certain number.
Mm-hmm.
So is Kiwanis Park going to be one of the zones for food or anything like that?
As of right now, no. So we were going to have Kiwanis be kind of the last chance. So when folks come in right here, we're going to have free water station right off this hydrant that's right here. In our walks with the RAGBRAI folks, they did truly recommend whoever you stick out at Kiwanis is probably going to get overlooked a little bit. People will pass them, but there's a good chance they will have already drank, fed, they're on their bikes. Are they really going to want to get off their bike in another, but no, we're certainly going to equip it as like oh no, I do need to use the restroom, or I do need water. So we will have those services down there. But our hope is that all vendors will be able to be in this space. And so I should say the green is where there will be physical barriers for alcohol movement. We will still have a few more blocks where we will have vendors not revolving around alcohol. So the blueprint is a little bit bigger than the green that you see there. We'll also be utilizing West Van Dorn as it leads to the fire station, because fire and police will be doing something in the apparatus bay over there. The parking lot on the other side will be kind of headquarters, first aid. So yeah, the blueprint is a lot bigger than the green that you just see here.
Where are you gonna put, the cars, like the volunteers and people like that have vehicles? Are they gonna be told to walk here, or?
So you mean like the volunteers helping us out?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're working with either Lakeside Fellowship or West Elementary using their parking lot, and we'll be using our 15 passenger van to shuttle people in. Yeah.
There is a volunteer meeting on the 14th at the public library, if you are interested. And then there's supposed to be another one later on. Four? Isn't it?
I believe so, yes.
I just had June 14th at 6. Oh. 14th and July 19th. So one coming up and then one right before. Both of them at 6 at the library.
What days?
June 14th, July 19th.
Any other suggestions or questions about Reg Fry coming to visit town?
The group that's coming in here on Wednesday, they might say this, but I noticed coming down Broadway from about, I just went for a ride the other day and noticed this, coming down Broadway from about the elementary school down to the stoplight, it's almost all downhill, so you can pick up some pretty good speed, and because of the winter sanding and things like that, the concrete bike strip, there's a lot of gravel and sand in there, and I know we probably don't have a sweet street, but
We actually do.
Oh, okay.
We do, and I know it is planned before
Okay.
Ragbri, but I'll see if they can get out a little bit early.
I can just see some bikers going down fast, and then because of the backup here, having to put brakes on quick
Yeah,
and having wipeouts.
thank you for bringing that up.
All right. Item number 8 is canceling the July 3rd Parks Commission meeting. That is a federal holiday, or the next day is a federal holiday for July 4th. And with people traveling and lots of conflicts, I do have a question though.
Mhm.
With Ragbri as well as the Four Seasons Festival, is there any information that the commission needs on those events between now and then?
I don't think so, but if there is anything,
Okay.
I will certainly pass that on.
Perfect.
Email. Yeah.
Great. Number 9, reports and particulars.
Yeah, I just want to highlight a few things. So I wanted to thank the North Polk class of 2027, this year's current 8th graders. They came out 150 plus strong on Friday, May 26th, and they just did work all around town. Mulched, a lot of mulch. They did a lot of mulch. And then they also did some trash pickup. But yeah, they do an amazing amount of work in 6 hours that it would take me, Public Works, my crews all summer. So, thank you to them, and thank you to Principal Richards for continuing to want to do that. Going forward, sounds like the kids love being out of school for the day. They probably don't love it so much after they realize what they're going to be doing, but it's a great benefit to Polk City. So we're really happy with the partnership with the middle school 8th graders. And the other thing I wanted to highlight, today was really the first day of summer programming here in Polk City. My seasonal staff showed up last week. My intern for 2023 was unable to come and introduce herself this evening, but I'll just do a little quick glimpse of her, and then you will see her on the August 7th Park Commission meeting. So her name is Madison Major. She is a junior to be at Luther College in Decorah, and majoring in environmental science. So a lot of her approach to this summer is looking at conservation that Polk City utilizes, maybe doesn't utilize, having recommendations. And of course, she's got a great history of summer camps too, so the kids will absolutely love her. But yeah, no, she'll present at the August 7th commission meeting.
What is her last name? I'm sorry.
Major.
And I met her today. She's lovely.
She's very nice.
Any other reports or particulars from the commission?
I just want to say thanks to the 8th graders. Hopefully they didn't report any creepy old guy driving by, but harassing them. But I actually saw them out. I was working from home that day, and I saw them, and they were very energetic. And I actually swung by and just was telling them thank you. A lot of them got a kick out of it that I was telling them thank you. But I was shocked that none of them looked like they hated being outside.
They got a good day for it.
It was
a nice day. Even when they were down over by the bridge picking up trash, I was pretty. It's one of those things that just reinvigorates seeing people doing that. So I want to thank them too.
My favorite comment as I say to them was an 8th grade boy that retorted, "It's probably my trash anyway."
Comes full circle. I love that.
That round.
I'll follow that one up with thanks for the Friends of the Parks Earth Day 5K and their cleanup as well, since we haven't had a meeting since that happened.
Yeah. No, I will say, their event went really well. Commission member Delaney had a small group, and they found a lot of trash.
A whole mess of stuff down there.
Sure did.
Yes. So, no,
think-
thank you for
3.
a lot of tires. Oh,
3
yeah,
of
like,
the side-by-side
yeah,
back
3
ends.
loads full. So, in a short amount of space. So,
Yeah.
Right.
And then Bryn, my oldest daughter, did seed balls over on the Earth Day 5K, and it was pretty chilly that day, so most people didn't want to put their hands in wet paper and create a seed ball. So she actually took all of the wildflower seeds and dumped them along that prairie there. So it gets long, and then it gets mowed down usually only once or twice a year, which is perfect for a wildflower patch to keep the weeds out and keep the flowers blooming. So should be a good spot for it. Yeah. The only other thing that I have is, as a follow-up from our meeting with the council, I did request the document that Jeff Walters had started. And I've been going over it, and I hope for our August meeting to have that sussed out a little bit as a total draft for us to look over. My goal isn't to take over that process, but he just basically wrote out like 3-word statements that were coming out. And so I've just been working on actually making those into descriptions instead of having that be, just, ad libs. Thank you. And so my goal will be for us to review that and give some input on the August meeting and get it back to the council so that they can look at that. My only other question is, the Leonard property, I believe, has changed hands officially. So there are some beautiful old maple logs that came down when that huge tree came down during the derecho.
Mhm.
They are cut, but they're enormous. There's no way even 2 or 3 people could lift them. However, I know that in the Rock Park, there are some pieces that have been there for a while that are damaged or starting to fall apart. I'm also wondering, we've talked about creating kind of a naturescape, either at Doc Simmers or in all of that green space at Lost Lakes. I mean, we have quite a few parks where we could put in even just a small, naturescape where kids could hop from log to log or whatever the case may be. And the other question I had is he has some old, beautiful plants. Like he has huge peony bushes and some other things. I would be happy to lead a volunteer effort to save some of those plants if they would be interested in getting rid of them. My assumption is they're probably just going to bulldoze down the property, in which case they wouldn't save the plants. But I thought that might be kind of a neat way to get some pretty old mature landscaping for somewhere nearby, even by Leonard
if we're
Park.
just moving that 50 yards away into the park.
Yeah,
On the borders. Yeah, that would be great.
and there's some mature grasses, so I don't know who to contact. I tried to get a hold of council members, but then I got a hold of Mr. Leonard, and he told me, he goes, well, I don't own that anymore. You're gonna have to talk to who owns it now. So
No, I'd be happy. I can easily get the contact for
Okay.
the Leonard Senior Living that's coming, and I'll reach out to them and see, exactly what will be disturbed when they start moving dirt, and if there is anything that would just perish, to relocate that. Because you're right. There are some really beautiful plants really along that fence line that would be great to move somewhere.
all right, anything else for the good of the cause?
Are you gonna respond to the girls with their letter, just thanking them, or just or explaining what the process is, or what will they, you hate to have them have feedback, well, I wrote, didn't hear anything.
Sure.
Go ahead.
No, I'm wondering if, since it was addressed to the park commission, if the commission would like to reach out. If not, I'd be happy to. I can certainly thank them and offer to meet with them.
I guess my point was, didn't you already?
They interviewed me as a source of information. So I spoke to them as like kind of an omniscient third party, not necessarily as a partner, for a lack of a better description. So no, I have not talked to them in a congenial feedback way. Does that make sense?
Yes, but they understand what the plans are moving forward, right?
Well, what they wanted to do wasn't possible. And so then they wanted to buy all of the land north of the park and east of the park and put fields across the bike trail for one sport and keep the current. They didn't realize that it was not owned by the city of Polk City.
Okay.
So I think when I said that and I answered that question, I think they were a little taken back that everything that they had assumed was not the reality. And so I had to kind of walk through what would even be possible in that space. And that's where we got the parking conversation. But I do think it would be polite, at least, for someone to respond to them and say, we got your information and your feedback.
I also think maybe the police department can take a look at this, maybe offer some traffic solutions busier days, Saturdays.
No, I can tell you, I'm in conversations with Chief Sipker. The thing is, that is a state highway right there, so that adds another layer. But yes, and the proximity to the bridge, the state not wanting cars stopped and backing up onto the bridge is another safety thing. So, everybody knows it's kind of a perfect storm out there that rarely yields good things. But no, I am in discussions with our police chief to see if there is anything we can do.
Important commodities, those cars out of that lot, so.
Yep.
I think some level of control would be excellent.
No, I'd be happy to, Ashley is as the current commission chair,
I'll
We-
just work with you to get a note.
if
to
we
them.
want to, do some sort of letter on official stationery that we can send to
Okay.
the two students, we could do something like that.
Part in their online Google form, I saw that on
Did ya?
Facebook, so. It's good to see them thinking about things like
Yeah.
this, it's awesome.
Uh,
It's not at all surprising that they didn't have any idea about that not being owned by Polk City. There's plenty of adults who have no idea that's
Yeah.
not actually ours.
They were actually super fascinated with the entire process of like, we also talked about how the original budget of the regional park was $55 million. One of them goes, wait, what? So, they just don't have a conception of like how much things cost and how long things take. So I think if nothing else, that was the beauty of the learning experience, is to really dive into things that you care about and just see how complex they are. So if nothing else, it would be delightful to have an outside perspective of like, hey, these are kids who have grown up here. These are kids this is the generation of kids that have seen Polk City go from 2,000 to 7,000, 8,000 people since they've been born, and both of these kids have lived here their entire lives. So they definitely have a vested interest and have seen the growth firsthand. So I think it would be interesting to also send them a letter that says, we encourage you to reach out to other city leaders and, highway patroller, whoever may be the other parties involved. So we can definitely do that. Right, if there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
A motion?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
I
Those opposed, same sign?